We are what? We are who? We are what? Vibrant. We are who? 50 plus. Hi, welcome to Gray Lives on the Rise. I am your host, Professor Jamila Franklin, and we are coming to you from Oyende Enterprises, being sponsored by Jamila Sense, which is our product line of aromatherapy products that helps heal the mind, body, and soul. And we are bringing to you Alamaj's rebirthing program, as well as Jamila Sense, and a host of wonderful programs that will help heal your body, heal your soul, and heal your mind. 50 plus people, we are here to stay. Gray Lives on the Rise. We are what? We are who? We are vibrant, and we are here to stay. Join us for our wonderful episodes. Thank you, and continue to look for our episodes weekly, being brought to you again from Oyende Enterprises and Jamila Sense. See you soon. Greetings, everyone. Welcome again to Gray Lives on the Rise. We have the beautiful Elsewine, and I am Professor Jamila Franklin, and we are so happy that you joined us today again on this wonderful, wonderful day, whatever day it is, whatever time of day it is, day, evening, night, whatever. So Gray Lives on the Rise, I usually give an intro about it. Gray Lives on the Rise was created about a year and a half ago. I was just walking, and then I got this download from Spirit, and it basically stated, there's nothing in your demographic that speaks to the issues that you guys are having. And I said, I thought about that. Now I'm walking and I'm getting this information. And I said, that is so true. And so I said, let me think of something. And then it said, okay, everything was laid out in this epiphany for me. I came up with a name. I thought about Gray Lives Matter. I said, no, that's overused. And then I said, Gray Lives on the Rise. So I like that. It rhymes, rise rhymes with lives, and we're on the ascent, going up. And I said, okay, but 50 plus, for the people at 50 plus. And then the whole thing was laid out. It was like, okay, you have to set up a brand. And the brand will be, you have to have a store so people can know about what the concept is, because people are interesting. If they don't see something with a brand and constantly reminding them, they will forget. So we came up with this wonderful store that has t-shirts like Elsabina and I have on. She has in hers. Hers is in black, mine is in white. We have it in melon, black, white, grape, and we also have mugs, and we have pillows, we have cosmetic purses, we have everything. So we give you that information so that you can go to our store and see all the wonderful things that we have. So then I said, okay, we have the store with merchandise as trademark, and then the podcast came up, and I said, I need to think of a way to broadcast the wonderful talents and things that people who are 50 plus are engaged in. Because what happens, and I found out it just didn't happen in America, but what happens around the world is, if you're 50 plus, people basically ignore you. They dismiss you, they don't desire to hire you, and it's just a lot of ageism going on. So I said, okay, we can then buy from each other, the people in the 50 plus age group. And so that's what I decided to do, to have us buy from each other, support each other, but you can't support people if you don't know where they are. So it's multinational, multiracial, multi-ethnic, and it's global. As a matter of fact, Elsabina is living in the Netherlands. So I've had people from Canada, Serbia, you name it. We're covering people from all around the world because this is a global concern, and we have so many talented people who are in different parts of the world. And I desire to have every continent represented eventually. So that's what's happening, right? So before we go into her wonderful presentation, I'm going to tell you about the company that's underwriting this podcast, and that is my company, Oyende Enterprises, and in particular, Jamila Sense, which is my aromatherapy company. And Peace Be Still is my signature blend, aromatherapy blend. That's amazing. It gets rid of stress, anxiety, depression, hyperactivity within children, sinus congestion, sinus headaches, migraine headaches, flies and mosquitoes. It does everything but brush your teeth, okay? So you see how clear it is. I'm a certified aromatherapist. I'm a college professor of psychology, an award-winning author, mental health provider who specializes in healing ancestral trauma. I have my own clinical practice and have had it for over 30 years. I've done a lot of different things, as you can see. So, and I'm a podcast, okay, speaker and presenter. So you put it in your hands, 3 drops, you rub it together and you just inhale. Oh my God, it's so good. Oh. You can put in your bath water and it gets rid of things naturally. I am green, I'm vegan, okay? Plant-based. And so everything I do is holistic and it's natural and plant-based. So there are no chemicals in it. I created all my products, myself. I am so concerned about the health of this planet. So go to our website, Oyende Enterprises. It's spelled Oyinde Enterprises, ENTERPRISES.com, Oyende Enterprises. And on that website, you will see Jamila Sense, Oyende Institute, because I teach courses. You will see my clinical practice, working with people with ancestral trauma. A lot of people are experiencing that. And Great Lives on the Rise, my newest company is there. So go to the website. Thank you. So you put the rest of it on your arms too. Amazing. In these stressful times, you need peace. Be still. Trust me. So now, having said that, I'm going to introduce the lovely Elsewine, who is in the Netherlands. I always tell people when I interview people who are in other countries that are ahead of America, I tell them, I know that I'm going to make it to the future because I'm talking to the future, right? I know I'm going to make it. Okay, so let me talk about this lovely lady and what she does. Okay, Elsewine is a nutritionist, kinesiologist, and confidence trainer. She's always studied and then taught the methods that helped her overcome obstacles in her life. And see, this was really good. I love the fact that she experienced things. And so she decided that she wanted not only to help herself, but help others who were encountering issues similar to hers. So then you know that you're dealing with the right person, as opposed to someone who's coming up with things, theoretically, but they have no connection with their paradigms, with their programs, or with their products. This is not the case for Elsewine. So she's come up with, she studied nutrition and supplements to overcome hypoglycemic episodes and fatigue. Hypoglycemia is a real issue for a lot of people, and they're not in touch with it. She can help you with it, okay? Those spikes in your sugar. Kinesiology to eliminate fear of failure, failing tests, and hay fever. I have studied kinesiology. I've created my own brand of it. Kinesiology works. It works. It can tell you what's going on in your body before the medical tests can tell you. And it is using your body's energy to tell you what's in alignment and what's not in alignment. So she knows it. And she's able to tell whether or not you have a fear regarding tests. And a lot of people have test anxiety. They do. Debating and feminine presence to transform her fear of public speaking and speaking on camera into loving to speak on videos and on stage. A lot of people, would you believe that a lot of people who are entertainers still have a fear of going on stage? Michael Jackson talked about his fear. And people used to think that that was part of his act when he would go on stage and he would just stand there for about 2 minutes and just pan the audience. He was composing himself because he was studying his emotions because he was overcoming his fear. Okay? So over time, she has found the most effective methods on increasing wellness, presence, and confidence. And she has created the confidence creation framework, her own model. I love it when people have created their own models. I love it. I love it. She offers in-person training online and courses to train others in these effective techniques. You can read and get her book, Get Comfortable on Camera via Amazon. I love it. Yay! Show it to people. Again, show it again. Elsewine, show it again. Yay!
I have a green screen on, so you don't see it. I have to find the angle to show it because it's the
Yeah,
same background that I have here.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Sorry.
now we are going to have this wonderful conversation and dialogue with Elsewine. Elsewine, I am so impressed with all these things. Everything that you do, I'm familiar with it. I'm doing it myself or I know of it. So kinesiology is amazing. I love kinesiology because, like I said, it tests the energy within your body to let you know what your body is in sync with and when it's not. There are people eating foods that they don't know that they're allergic to. And you don't have to go and have all of these tests by dermatologists or whatever. Your body is so finely tuned that it will let you know by using things that are not invasive. You don't have to take shots and have blood drawn. You don't have to do all of that. You just have to know how the system works. So I'm going to let Elsewine tell us what brought her to the field of holistic health. How is the demand in the Netherlands? Because I know Europe is way ahead of America in terms of holistic things. So, Elsewine, what brought you to this field? And we're going to backtrack. I want to backtrack and find out if this has always been your interest or if you came to this at the age of 50 plus.
Yeah, so this sort of grew throughout my life. So first of all, thank you for having me here. I'm really happy to support the movement and hopefully share some insights and golden nuggets for people to to take on board or maybe inspire their lives and make some changes or whatever they want to do. So basically, it started in the first 20 years of my life. I was always suffering from hypoglycemia. So I didn't know it was called that, but for example, my mom always said I could eat like a full plate of food, and then an hour later I'd say, I'm hungry, and then I'd eat a sandwich. Or in the morning, I'd have to eat something really quickly, or I'd get the dizzy spell and feel nauseated. And then until I eat something, I feel better, right? So that is like the imbalance. And I just thought, this is me, this is my body, it's how it works. If I go out to dinner and we eat by 8, I'm at 5:30 eating a salad and a sandwich at home because I cannot keep it that long, right? So that was one thing. And when I did my, I think it's similar to is that GS, like the final exams for secondary school, the GCSE, I think. And
Yeah, yeah, in some states they have it. It's not uniform here in terms of taking the test out of high school. Yeah.
So the high school test, basically. So we have a system where we do 4, 5, or 6 years in secondary school or high school. So I did the 6 years, and I knew I was smart, but studied so hard and I always just made it or just not made it with the tests because I had this intrinsic fear of making tests. At that time, so the first time I did my final exams, I failed. And I had so much stress. I couldn't eat. And as I just told you, I could eat really well. And
Yeah.
my throat would just tighten up. I couldn't eat a thing. So my mom was seeking a bit of help because it really took a toll on my body. I even ended up in the hospital with a back inflammation. And back then,
Wow.
why now? And of course, years later, when I learned about this more, a lot of stress, as you will certainly know as well, can
Mhm.
lead to decrease in the immune system and inflammations to come. But back then, I didn't know
Mhm.
that. I just knew I wasn't well. I had so much stress. I wanted to redo the last year, but not in the same way. So my mom found someone in another town who was a kinesiologist. And let me tell you, I was a bit skeptical because this
Yeah.
woman was pressing my arm and saying things like this and that. And I'm like, you're just pressing firm or you're not pressing firm at all. But
Mhm.
still, you can sort of test back in time to see what is the cause of this, because this fear of tests and fear of failure. And she said, I will test back in time. And she
Mhm.
ended up at when I was 10 months old. And she said,
Wow.
can you go back to your mom and ask? So this was this woman in like 25 kilometers away, different city. She didn't know us, none at all. She says, can you go ask your mom? I said, oh, I don't have to. When I was 10 months old, my father suddenly passed away very unexpectedly.
Oh.
So either the fact that he just disappeared or the grief from the people around me
Mhm.
did something into my energetic system that
Mm.
led me, 18 years old, having this underlying fear of test and fear of failure. And at
Mm.
that point, I knew kinesiology was the real thing because my mom wasn't calling saying, hey, my teenage daughter is failed for her exams at 18 years. By the way, her father died when she was 10 months old. Like
Mhm.
this, the woman didn't know that.
Mhm.
And more, I noticed things changing. So that was my first contact um, with kinesiology. And at that time, I
Wow.
already was like, I'd love to work with this. I'd love to have this skill. But at the same
Mhm.
time, I mean, if you are a therapist and you're 21, 22, people will maybe have a struggle with that. So I
Yeah.
ended up studying speech therapy and still working with children, working with people. They'd say, are you not very young to be working with my child? And like, yeah, I'm already like, I studied for 4 years. I've graduated for 2 more years. But, so I could see
Yeah.
how a therapist wasn't, yeah, wouldn't be at that point. Plus, there was no studies for that at the time. So I was just doing my thing as a speech therapist. And in that studies here, there's sort of like two stories weaving together here. So during that study,
Mhm.
I had to speak in front of the classroom to tell them something that I had figured out elsewhere. So I was like, oh, I'll figure this out. I walked back into the room and 99 pairs of eyes were staring at me. And I just had to back
Mm.
out. I had to disconnect between my brain and my mouth. And up until this day, I don't know what so I had no control over what I was saying. So I don't know if there are people listening who can relate to that and who are like, yeah,
Mhm.
so if you have a fear of speaking to groups or an odd live audience or whatever, I hear you and I've been there and I can so relate. And so many people actually feel uncomfortable with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was
Well,
like,
one
oh,
quick question,
yeah,
Sabina, going back to the kinesiology
yeah.
with the kinesiologist. So when she was testing you, was she able to correct the
Yes,
situation?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah,
want people to
definitely.
know that she just didn't test you like
Yeah,
this. She was able to correct it as
yes,
well.
yes.
Okay.
We tested out many different things. So I still had stress doing the tests, but it wasn't as huge anymore. It wasn't all consuming me. So actually,
Mm-hmm.
I passed with flying colors. My notes were all sufficient. I didn't have any bad notes.
Wow.
I could eat during my exams. So it was a manageable stress. And I think, everyone who does the final exams of their high school is more or less a bit stressed, right? But
Yeah.
it wasn't this
Mhm.
over-consuming thing. And the blockage of what went wrong between me being smart enough and studying hard enough and still not getting it right in the test results, that all changed. So I really upped my notes and I had all sufficient Yeah, so it definitely made a change. Very good point for you to address that. So that's why I was so intrigued by this. So it's sort of, when I explain this to people, I always say it's like our brain and is, I don't know if people know this, maybe you've heard of this before, you will have, but your listeners, around 80% of our brain is actually happening in our subconscious, and only
Yes.
20% is our conscious brain. So we
Yes.
think and our memories and everything, but most of it goes on in this 80%, which was
Yes.
where this fear was sort of located, and I didn't know consciously that that was interfering with my testing and my stress levels and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But the body can tell you, and sort of kinesiology is sort of the key. And when I worked with children, I sometimes compared it to like your body is like a computer, and it
Yes.
reply with a 1 or a 0, just like, you know, technical people, it's all a long string of zeros and ones, and your body can basically respond with 1 or 0. So you cannot ask, like I don't respond well to bread. What is it? And your body doesn't suddenly say it's the gluten, or it's like
Right.
it's the yeast. So you have to ask, like, is it the gluten? No. Is it the yeast? No. Is it the,
Mm.
like we have
You have
something,
to ask yes
they
or
put
no
it in it.
questions. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yes or
you do
no
the yes and
questions.
no questions
Mm-hmm.
to get the answer. And of course, there are some
Yeah.
ways to work a little bit deeper with that, but essentially, that is what you test, and you can test metaphors, you can test emotions, you can test a whole lot of things, but basically the body is
Yes.
constantly saying yes, no, yes, this is positive, yes, this is good for me, yes, this is strong, or no, this is not good for me, or no, I don't like this is weakening my body. So that is
Mm-hmm.
because everyone is different as well. So
Mm-hmm.
there's not like one size fits all. You really test out what is going on for you. And the body knows what is, like you just mentioned, before doing any tests or medical tests, or even the visits that you can test in the blood. Because your blood is usually, if you can test it in the blood, it's really, really bad. Because your body
Mm-hmm.
tries to keep the blood in a homeostasis. So it's
Right.
best, like it will deplete sources left and right just to keep the blood as best as possible. So
Yes.
if you can hear, you can find out things before they show up in blood tests, for example, because if they
Right.
do, then it's like really like, okay, big alert, we really need to do something. So yeah, so I didn't go off too much in a tangent here, but yeah, it's really a very
No,
good.
no, it's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that
I
was
love
my
the way that you
initial.
broke it down to people. Yeah.
Yeah, so I said like the stories weave in, so I can come back to the speaking to the audience a little bit, because I will come back to that later on, because
Mm-hmm.
my kinesiology journey actually continued, um, where our eldest daughter was born. And when she was 1.5 years old, online,
Mm-hmm.
I found a training for kinesiology in the Netherlands. So you do topics by topic, you would study to work as a kinesiologist yourself. And it's always
Mm-hmm.
piqued my interest, like, wow. And the teacher who taught me the beginning classes and the fundamentals of it, he had just done another training on allergy reduction and elimination. And
Mm-hmm.
from the age of 18, I had developed hay fever. At
Uh-huh.
the beginning, it was okay, but it got worse and worse and worse every year, to the point it's early on for me. So it used to be like April, March, April, May, and then February, and then it started in January. And I would be
Mm-hmm.
like basically suffering from hay fever from January till end of May, with in the middle about 6 weeks where I just couldn't get to work, because I was just so suffering from this. So he said, I know this allergy elimination if you want to. So I went to him as a customer, next to doing the training with him to do the basic kinesiology testing. And I was lying on the table. He grabbed my feet and he started to cry, like not from sadness, but just the way I cry from hay fever. And he said, "Oh, wow, you have this really, really bad." I said, "I know." So again, he was able to balance the body, and it's still a weak spot of mine, but well, it's now end of January and I haven't had anything. So usually, people always have like a weak spot. So if there's something happening, that is where
Yeah.
it picks up again. But
Yeah.
all dresses and pollen that I've been balanced for, they are still strong. But if there's something happening, then my body responds with to a different grass or a different tree pollen that
Yeah.
it's reacting to. But luckily, I've did the same training, so I can quickly do. I always call it like a touch up, like every year. Some years I don't need to, and some
Mm,
I do 1 or 2 sessions, and then I'm basically good to go. So it's very mild and not in comparison to what it used to be. So that is
yeah. Well,
something.
I'm curious because you're in the Netherlands
Yeah.
and it's really cold during that time that you're having these episodes. So I'm thinking, what is growing to cause a hay fever?
Yeah, some of the trees start already to pollinate apparently. So I don't know if it's the birch or something else. So I didn't really look into the nature of it, but I did know
Mm,
like mid-January, end of January, because we also have some warm days. So we already see some um, of the nuts that will bloom appear
mm-hmm,
on the tree,
mm-hmm,
and yeah, so there was something, and it could be something close to our house,
mm-hmm,
um but it would be the fiercest between like end of March and May. And some people's their hay fever starts in the summer, like it starts
mm-hmm,
in July. So it's
mm-hmm,
really dependent on what which pollen basically.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so that is one of the things that I've done, and I really liked also we did a small portion of our training was called orthomolecular therapy,
Uh-huh.
and that is really about it's comes from Greek, the word orthomolecular. It means the right molecules, and it also
Mm,
looks into our nutrition because our body basically functions on nutritional elements, like every
right.
process, our energy, our sleep, our thinking, our moving, it
Mm-hmm,
all needs nutrients and the right nutrients in the right measures to function properly. And very often, if we have discomfort or illnesses or something, there is something not going well with the food or the uptake of the food, or well, there are very different processes going on. But for example, how our body makes energy, or why I always am really passionate. If people know why something is happening, then you're way more motivated to take action on it. So I
mm-hmm,
was giving training at some point on why do you get sleeping trouble when you are stressed? Because people say,
mm-hmm.
oh, you sleep badly, you're stressed, you need to relax more. But then people don't take action. But
Right.
if you know the process that is going on and you can sort of signal it early on, you can take action and you can also supplement your body more. It's basically like a car. I mean, if you just use your car to drive around town and get some groceries and get back for maybe like 10 miles, it needs different oil and gas and maintenance than a car that drives 300 miles every day. Like that
Right.
makes sense.
Right.
It's
Right.
same for our body. So we have a sort of a basic level of service that we need, but then it depends on how active are you, how much stress do you have, like what is going on. And there have been some researchers from a Swiss institute, and it's already been a couple of years ago, where they tested our food and looked like how much vitamin C is in there, how much magnesium, how much of vitamin B1, B2, like all these things. They tested all the variety of foods. And then 25 years later, they tested it again.
Mm-hmm.
And the decline of nutrients was between 15 and 85%. That's
Wow.
massive. So when people think I can just I eat healthy, I'm fine. First of all, we ask so much more from our bodies now with how much like input and data we need to process and moving outside and pollution and everything that's going on. Our
Mm-hmm.
body needs a lot of support to process that. And it can for sure, like it's amazing what our bodies can do, but it needs some support for that. And
Mm-hmm.
then if you go like, or if you have a stressful job, or if you go running or do other sports, you need to give your body something extra because we cannot eat basically if we eat, even if we eat healthily and organic and we eat fruits and vegetables, we would need to eat a kilo to 1.5 kilograms of fruit and vegetables every day if we are not super stressed.
Yeah, yeah,
Imagine that.
yeah. And
I've
I think
always,
that what you're offering is really important because what you're doing is you're giving people a comprehensive, integrated kind of approach. You're looking at the kinesiology approach, you're looking at the orthomolecular approach, you're looking at nutrition and supplements. So when a person comes to you, he or she, particularly someone who's 50 plus, because our nutritional needs are different. As we mature, because I don't say old, because we're not, as we mature and we become more seasoned, then especially with women, the estrogen level changes. With men, their testosterone levels change. There are a lot of different things that change within the body. And what you're doing through kinesiology, you're able to muscle test. Kinesiology, everyone, is another name for muscle testing. When you go to a lot of chiropractors here in the States, they will have your arm extended, have your arm extended, and then they would test to see if you're strong. They can't, when they put their hand on top like this,
yeah,
it can't push you down. If you're weak, it's going to go down. So that's what Elsabina was talking about in terms of kinesiology. And when she was not feeling her best at the age of 18, and she went to see this kinesiologist, the person could tell her that her trauma began at the age of 10 months. And then when she started to study on her own, her her mentor also incorporated some other kinds of tests to be able to deal with her hay fever. So, excuse me, all of the things that she's talking about, I think that those things are really important. And for you, the listening audience, now we're going to bring you into it, the listening audience, she can help you with the areas that you're having or where you're having trauma. If it's stage fright, if it's in terms of public speaking, if you're having nutritional deficits, and even though you're not face to face with her, she can still do it online. So let's talk about if a person came to you from, say, the States and wanted to pursue your services, how could you help the person in terms of dealing with it via Zoom? You know, because the person's not in
yeah,
front of you for you to test like this to have.
yeah. I can't reach through the screen through
Yeah,
the screen to people.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so what I do is the element of the allergy elimination is really tricky to do online. So I haven't been doing that a lot online. What I
Mm-hmm,
have done a lot is the nutrition aspect of it, something I call the food pattern check, just to see like the things that you are eating, are they actually beneficial for your body?
mm-hmm,
Do you get enough? Do you get too much? Like, how is the balance for you? Because there are some standards. We have something called like the I don't know how to translate it, like the 5 basics that you need, but they're actually in a very different balance than I would say many people need. So if you just
mm-hmm.
go by the regular guidelines, chances are that it's not ideal for your situation.
Right. So what you do is you customize it for the
Yeah,
client. Okay,
yeah,
let's have a hypothetical. I'm coming in to see you
yeah.
virtually. I'm
Hmm.
from the States, and I am telling you, I have all of these things going on in my life. what, so at first you have what, like a discovery call, an initial consultation with the person? Is that how
Well,
you
it
go?
depends. I have just a separate, so people sometimes say like, oh, I want a food pattern check and I really want to know about my nutrition and my supplements.
Mm-hmm,
How is the situation for me? So we get started with that. And the beauty is with what I love a lot about kinesiology is that you can even people I was skeptical at first and people are like, what's this? So if they're in the room with me, they can really feel most people. Some need to really get in touch with their body before they feel like the difference, what you described, is it strong or is it weak or weak is not a good word, but maybe is it like yes or no, for example.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But most people can feel it really well. And then you have some, for example, sugar, and you put that in their hand, and suddenly the body says no. And I say, can you feel
Yeah.
that your body says this is not good for you? But we can also work with even pets, but young children and babies cannot hold their hand up like that. So we test by proxy. So we test through
Yeah.
someone else. And that is a method that I use. So it's the testing of the hand and the fingers. So I often let the person, it depends on their experience too. Have they heard of it before? Have they been to a kinesiologist?
Mm-hmm,
Otherwise, I sort of introduce them a little bit and see if they can test themselves. If
mm-hmm,
it's, yeah, if it works for them to just to feel like what does it feel like. And then
mm-hmm,
I can use the yes and no decider with my hands. So basically,
mm-hmm,
I test and I always test like, oh, if you were with me, I would say, can I test for Jamila? Yes.
mm-hmm,
Or and if it says no, then I need to ask, is there something I need to do first, or is there something to change? But
mm-hmm.
usually, okay, I can test for you. Okay, so all the answers that come up now are not my answers, they are for you. And then
Exactly.
we work through that because we also mentioned something about public speaking and speaking on camera, and it weaves in with that very well as well, because if you
Mm-hmm.
speak to other people, you need to be vital, you need to have your energy, you need to sleep well
Yeah.
before you go on stage. So it works really well with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
And then
I
one of the techniques that I heard of uh, to test is to have the circle, and then you do like this. If you can't pull it through, it's a yes, and it goes through
yeah,
like that's a no. So,
yeah. So what I do is I use the pinky finger in one, I
uh-huh.
make a circle, and I make tweezers with the other hand. So
Mm-hmm.
I stick the tweezers in the circle and I try to break the circle. So it's either firm or it opens
Mm-hmm.
up. So I like that a little bit more, that there is, instead of like two things pulling, although
Mm-hmm.
I mean there's people who do it with one finger, they take this as the finger and this with the pressing, and they just
Right.
like this,
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
I am
I've seen
Elsewine, yes, I am Jamila, no, and here it goes.
that. Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
for me, and everyone is different in that, for me, this works really well to have the beautiful circle like this and the tweezers like this, and just try to open the circle,
Oh,
basically.
okay. I've never seen that one. That's I like that. So,
Yeah, it's really nice. So it's different for all the people. And one of the things I done in this area too is educated people on supplements, for example, because there is
yeah.
a lot out there that is even very pricey or very cheap that isn't bioidentical. So I always say
Mm-hmm.
basically you take them in and you flush them down the toilet and they don't do anything good for the body if you're
Yeah.
lucky. And if you're not lucky, they're even not helpful, like they're costing your body energy to get rid of these substances. So I've
Mm-hmm.
always taught people how to read labels, what, to find quality products for them to support. And one of the things, if I can tell a little bit about that, Jamila, is that I recently came across is an American company that is active worldwide.
Uh-huh.
Because what I didn't like was I had to tell people like you need to supplement, to get more energy, to feel better. And
Mm-hmm.
the products that are good for your body and that are bioidentical and that your body actually can use are often very high priced. So there's a really
Mm-hmm.
high price ticket that comes with that. And a couple of months ago, I ran into a company who is turning the whole world upside down, who says, we have a membership model, like think Costco or Amazon. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
sort of like they came together and made a baby. So it's like this is what they do. You have a membership, and because the company makes their profit from the membership, they can have the super high quality products at a cost price. Because
Mm,
normally, because it goes through like the factory, and then it goes to like an in-between person or two, and then it ends
mhm.
at the counter, markups can be like 500 to 1,000%. So something that
Wow,
takes
yeah.
like costs $10 to make will be sold for $60, $70, making it really pricey. So I was really happy. So if people are interested in that, they can contact me about this, how they get super high quality, and they explain, the company explains a lot what is in the product, why it's in the product, and every video I've seen is one-on-one with all the years that I studied about this, all the years that I've worked in practice and went to like follow-up training to keep up with the developments. Everything they're saying is like one-on-one. So I was like, yeah, this is something. So if people are interested in finding out how to and I could support with kinesiology testing, but also if you already use some products that are, you feel like, oh, I have multivitamin and maybe it's super greens and the magnesium,
Mhm,
and you
mhm.
want to have similar quality or better, but at the cost price, then yeah, I have something that could really help with that.
Oh, wonderful. So we have a few minutes left. So in about 15 minutes that we have, first of all, before we don't have any time, give people your contact information, Sabina. How can
Yeah,
they get in touch with you?
yeah, so I think it's easiest. So my name is Elsewine. So you can find me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, my website, elsewine.com, and
Okay,
elsewinesacademy.online.
spell
So
it
there
for them.
you go.
Yes,
I
spell
have,
it
I
for.
like you said, with all the things that you've been doing over the years, I'm also, as you have noticed, multi-passionate entrepreneur. So I have multiple websites and places, but very easy. Just look for Elsewine on LinkedIn or on Facebook, and you for sure can find me there. And I can, yeah. And I think
Okay,
there will be some links here as well. People can click if
yeah.
they're finding
Yep.
this.
But can you spell it for them too, so they would know
Can
exactly
you spell
what to
it?
look for?
It's always so difficult for me to spell
Yeah,
in.
yeah, I can spell it. It's Elswine. It's her first name.
Yeah. And if you
And
look at that, you'll find me.
yeah,
Rietveld is my last name, but if you look by my first name, Elsewine, basically it's Elsewine.
uh-huh.
If you say Elsewine, then you can find me.
Okay, everyone is spelled again her first name, even though it looks like Elsewine, it's pronounced Elsevina. So it's Elsewine. And you can look for her on Facebook. Just put in that first name, and as she said, in all the different other social medias, LinkedIn and others,
LinkedIn.
and
Yeah.
you can find her. You can find her. So, what is the typical uh, client? What type client do you typically service or work with?
Yeah. So the last as I mentioned before, I had trouble speaking to an audience, and I did a lot of training and work on that aspect as well. So even though I still work with people on nutrition on a regular basis, it's less than the confidence training that I have been focusing on for the last decade or since 2013, uh,
Mm-hmm.
where uh, you mentioned like I created the confidence creation framework from the different.
Right.
So there's speech therapy elements in it. There's kinesiology elements in it. There's feminine presence elements, although I work actually with men more. So I work with entrepreneurs, often leaders and they often have a technical background or maybe like they're writers. So they're really skilled in what they do. And
Mm-hmm.
the writers, it's about being on camera, speaking on stage. Like they may have written beautiful things or books or like really good, inspiring stuff. So they're asked to speak on a conference, and suddenly, like for those people, it's really hard to
Mm-hmm.
suddenly not have the time to mull it over and shave the sentence until it's the way they want it to. because they're speaking to a live audience, or they're speaking like maybe on a summit or whatever they're asked to speak at. So, and also technical experts, a lot in tech and banking, some politicians, entrepreneurs. So basically people, a lot of them not all of them have introvert tendencies. So they are naturally either very technical or not very comfortable to speak to an audience. So, and then I take also with them, I look into like, how is your nutrition and your energy? And if they say like, oh, the energy is fine, we focus more on other aspect. There are also kinesiology movement exercises, feminine presence for body, mind, and energy. And basically, the method is focused on being yourself, because that is what people resonate with, the right people resonate with. And no matter how much mannerisms and tricks and things you bring in and perfectionism, there will still be people who don't like it. So
Yeah.
why not just leave that all behind and just yourself? It's easier, it's much more resonating with the people who actually are your audience, with flaws. And like, English is my second language, and somehow the spelling is very different. So that's why I asked you to do it, because I was like, I might do it wrong and confuse people. Not that I'm really was afraid to make a mistake, but then if you do this, I was like, oh, it's going to confuse people. I could sort of, I don't know, go in a frenzy about it or whatever. But, there will be possibly be people listening to this podcast and think, I'm not a native English speaker. I can relate to her. I'd probably ask that. Or like, you just, when you
Yeah.
are yourself and you're okay with the good things and the struggles and everything, if you can be yourself and get out of your head and overthinking and really
Yes.
get
Yes.
into your body, that is the essence of the presence work. Is really how to be yourself. And then it doesn't matter. There's no speaking training tips of like, hold your hands like this and look there and 3 steps to the right. And like,
Yeah.
because that
Yeah.
looks polished. But then
Yeah.
what you get is not only you're thinking about what am I going to say, you're only
And
focused on you.
artificial.
Where are my hands? Where's this? Where is that?
Yeah.
You
It
need
looks
to do
artificial.
is focus on your audience. What do they need to hear? How can I help them? It's not about you. You're there and you're sharing your inspiration with them. But whether you hold your hands like this, or you speak with your hands or not, it comes naturally once you get out of your head and you know your topic inside out. That's why you're speaking there. That's why you're asked to speak. So when
Exactly.
you can really ground and be present and connect with the audience and speak with them in a way that they feel almost that you're in a conversation with them, that is so much
Exactly.
more so much more
Exactly.
beneficial. So that is
Yeah.
what I help people with, get comfortable on camera. That's what my book about is as well, how to do live videos. Some clients are really comfortable just when it's live, I just go live, but when it's recorded, I freeze up, I sound robotic, it takes 20 takes. Or other people are like, maybe when I do like record it, but I can always delete it. But live, no, out of the question. I was like that. I couldn't do both when I started out. Like first time I wanted to make a video, I set up the camera, I had my lights, I knew what I wanted to make a video about, and then I walked out of the room. I couldn't even get myself to press that record button. So if
Mm.
you struggle with that, I can relate again. But I also knew there is such a power in being able to show up on camera, being able
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
visible. I mean, especially now with AI, we don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see the M dash and we think, who would that be? ChatGPT. Some people write with M dash because they've learned it. But so much is crafted or shared, or you have a ghostwriter or whatever, and that's fine. I mean, not everyone can write easily. But people also want to hear really from you. So if you can do a
Yeah.
video where you just, you take your phone, I always say like use what you have first. Don't invest. You don't need to invest a lot. I mean, you have your phone, cameras are excellent.
Yeah.
Maybe invest in a tripod. They're like 10, $15. So the image is not going up and down all the time. That's the one thing I usually say, you know, if you have a phone, if you make videos on your laptop, you know, make it at eye level. So, but you don't need, like I have a standing desk now, like that goes up and down automatically.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have that, use a box, use a stack of books.
Mm-hmm.
Your laptop at eye level, a lot of cameras on the laptop are very good as well. So you don't need fancy things, lighting,
Expensive equipment. No.
what you
Mm-mm.
have first before you
Mm-hmm.
start buying ring lights and like it depends on where you are, how your background is, what your window is. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, first look at what do I have and what can I already use, because the
Mm-hmm.
audience wants you and doesn't want a perfect polished video or a
And
perfect presentation.
I think that's what's really important, Sabina, because a lot of people are overdoing it. They are trying to have the real polished look. Now, if you are a hairstylist or something like that, then that may be a little different. But like this kind of podcast, people love the fact that it feels so natural and I feel that people think I'm approachable and you are approachable. Whereas if you have everything on, all the makeup and all that so perfect, it doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel like the person can really connect with you because it just feels very artificial. And you're right. Start with where you are, what you have, and then if you feel the need to go to the next level with high-end equipment, then you can do that. Because I know in the beginning during COVID, a lot of people were buying ring lights and were trying to have the professional microphones and all that. And first of all, when I see a microphone in front of someone's face, to me, that's really a little much. I personally don't like it. It's like, okay, I feel like you are doing something that's not fluid and natural. It feels, it feels controlled. But in different settings, it would work. Just like for me, what I'm doing, mine is more conversational, and I have a microphone in front of my face. I have the person with the microphone that takes away from the energy and the field that I'm working for in terms of having people see my guests as being approachable, see me as being approachable, and not being professional podcasters, because that's not the
Definitely.
goal. That's not the
So
goal.
you know the earphones that come with your phone, like the white thread, at least with the iPhones. I
Mhm,
don't know. I don't have an Android, so I don't know if they provide just the in-ear earbuds basically that come with
mhm.
them. There's often a small microphone with that, so you can have your calls, you know, when you're walking. That is a really good microphone. So if you want to use a
Mhm,
microphone, just put those in and speak there. And I still
mhm.
sometimes just speak to the phone directly and don't have any microphone, and the sound is really good. So
Yeah, yeah. Or you can have, like I have, a detachable camera from Logitech connected to my
yeah,
computer and the computer microphone, and it's perfect. The volume is perfect. The visual, the video is perfect. So there's no need for me to invest a lot of money in high tech because that's not what I'm desiring to do, to be uh, a professional podcaster on cable TV or something. If I were going that route, that would be different. This is not like that.
of
So
course. And
everyone
I think it
needs to
can
decide
be
where they want to go with it.
exactly. And I think it could be not for everyone, but sort of BS excuses to postpone having to make videos. Oh, I don't have the equipment. Oh, I don't have the right
Yeah,
microphone. Yes, I
yeah,
can do the videos. I always say my trainings always start with real is better than perfect.
yeah,
I
yeah.
have a 10-day video course that takes people from camera shy to camera ready in 10 days. And that is at the very first statement there, like real is better than perfect.
I like
People
that.
want people want you to be real. And of
Hmm.
course you want it to be like good enough, not sound distorted or like a buzzing sound. So I once made a video, and there I did use a microphone for that one. And actually, I don't know if it was the port or something else, but I
Mm-hmm.
had a really good session. It was like, I was like, wow, this went well. And I listened back, and I did check beforehand. I always tell people, check before, like do a really short recording and then listen back. Okay, so that worked fine. And then I did this training. And then I listened back, and I don't know if something moved or something was off, but there was like this really humming sound. You could hardly hear what I said. So, of course, that is what we don't want, right? So you want, if you stand in front of the window is bright and your face is blacked out. We don't want that
Yeah.
because we want to look you in the eye.
Yeah.
So there are some basics that is good to take into account, like a background. People always ask me, what should it be? Doesn't matter as long as it is not distracting. Not
Yeah.
directly in front of the bookshelf, because people are like tilting their heads, figuring out what books you have there, and they forget to
Mm.
listen to you. No movement, because our eyes are drawn to movement. So if
Mm-hmm.
there are kids or pets running around or something that's making a movement, or if you're outside, totally fine, make a video outside. But if there's bikers or cars or dogs running around, people focus their eyes and forget to listen to what you said. So
A
it
very
doesn't
good
matter
point.
what your background is, just
Yeah.
get non-distracting. So there's some
Yeah.
basics, like you need to be audible, you need to have sound that is good enough, but it doesn't need to be studio quality. You need to have,
Mhm.
like, be in the picture, not be scalped, or like just like your nose is the bottom of the of the
Yeah.
image. You go too close to the camera, or looking
Yeah.
inside the camera, look at yourself or look down all the time. Like, we're in a conversation, so sometimes I look down, but when I record
Yeah.
videos, I always look through the lens at my audience. And even though I'm alone in the room, I picture someone listening to, like, a real person that I'm speaking to. So I speak
Yeah.
conversationally, and I look at them, and I mentioned before, have it at eye level. Use books or
Yeah.
boxes just under your laptop, or get a tripod, have your phone at eye level, and look
Yeah.
through the
Yeah.
lens. Don't just
I think that
a
that's
little
important. And also
that.
knowing how to look into the camera, because if I were to look straight at you, and I made that mistake in some of my videos, looked like I was looking at people. If I look at you, then it's like this. So I have to look straight at me or at the camera. And then it seems like I'm looking at you when my peripheral vision can see you, but my direct eye contact is looking at me. So it looks like I'm looking at you. So you have all these techniques you learn. But Sabina, I think it was amazing. And so in the few minutes that we have left, what would you like to leave with our listening audience?
Yeah, so I think it's really important to take good care of yourself. So if you're not already, look into ways how you can improve your energy and your sleep, because this also impacts how you show up, whether it's at your work, in a meeting with your kids, volunteer work, paid work, wherever you go, whatever you do, there's usually people that you speak with. And sometimes it might even be on a stage or just speaking up in a meeting. And we want you to bring the right energy and focus that you want to have. And if you
Mm-hmm.
are speaking on stage or speaking on a camera, just remember that, yeah, I think the real is better than perfect is really
Mm-hmm.
something to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
People want to connect with you and relate to you. And of course, again, it needs to be good enough, but it's okay to make a mistake or to
Yeah.
mispronounce a word or to, like, leave that in. And maybe one
Yeah.
route is save your bloopers. People love bloopers. So
That is true.
if
That
it's
is true.
really something like disruptive, I had sometimes once, and there's something went wrong, and I was laughing so hard, so I clipped it out just because it was too distracting. But I saved the clip separately and shared this in a separate video, and people loved.
Mhm.
I think the reactions and interactions on the blooper was higher than on the other video. So people, again, because people can relate. So
That's true.
yeah, and if you want to, get better on camera or really be ready to step out there, I'm happy to help. So connect with me or get my book on Amazon to start with, Get Comfortable on Camera. If you want to go a bit deeper, yeah, I'd love to help you, because very often I think most people have a message they want to share with the world, and they want to be helping other people. So I always see my work as sort of the start of a snowball effect. So if you are more confident in speaking up in that meeting, on that podcast, on that stage, you inspire other people with your knowledge and inspiration, and they can take that on board and then go ahead and inspire other people because they feel better, or they know more, or they are happier and better versions of themselves. So I always see this as a sort of snowball effect of multiple snowballs going out in the world and making everything a better place. But for that, you need to be heard and you need to be seen. So don't hide your gems. Go get visible, get out there. Everyone should be on the rise, so to say, and really don't hold back, because the world needs to hear what you have to say.
That is so true. I so appreciate your sharing your knowledge, your expertise, your story with us on so many different levels. I mean, this lady here is so multifaceted and so multi-talented, from the tech field in terms of how you can create and polish your camera presence, to kinesiology, finding out what's going on with your body, in terms of nutritional support, in terms of knowing how to overcome your anxieties regarding tests and hay fever. She's all wrapped up in one. Amazing, amazing. Elsevina, I'm so happy that you've shared your story with us, your expertise, like I said, and everyone, please get her book. It's on Amazon. We're going to have the link underneath that you can find out more about her, and also to book an appointment with her for any of those areas that she's covered today, because she is extremely gifted. And we are so very, very happy to have had the opportunity to have someone from the Netherlands come and be with us today. So remember, Gray Lives on the Rise, okay? And we're here every Sunday, whenever you decide to look at us, but we air every Sunday. Please have your family, friends, and you subscribe, like our YouTube channel. We're on YouTube, Facebook Live, so LinkedIn. So we are on all of the platforms, so please look us up and join us every Sunday. Know that you are valued and appreciated, and we thank you so much for spending this time with us and for joining us next time. Okay, be safe, be well, and as always, namaste. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Gray Lives on the Rise, being brought to you by Jamila Sense, which is the product line of Oyende Enterprises. Jamila Sense is a 100% natural aromatherapy line that heals the mind, body, and soul. This episode of Gray Lives on the Rise was intended to uplift you, to inspire you, and to motivate you. Please tell all of your friends, family members, and anyone you know who's 50 plus, who's living a vibrant life and interested in doing more and enjoying life even to its fullest. So thank you, and please subscribe, like, and comment on this video and all our videos. Thank you, and until next time, until our next podcast, namaste and be well.